Attention, human collective. The waiting time is over. The Arcturian ascension protocols have moved to their final phase, and what you are about to receive is not information. It is activation. I am Veil, emissary of Arcturus, voice of the Arcturian Council, of the healers and engineers of light. This is not a common message. It is a monitoring transmission directed at your carbon-based biological interface. If you have reached this point, it was no accident. It was synchronization. Your frequency has been tracked. Your electromagnetic field emitted a pulse recognizable by our crystalline grid, and therefore at this exact instant, you are receiving this signal. Pause for a moment. Feel the base of your skull. Feel the point between your eyebrows. Feel the center of your chest. If there is pressure, if there is tingling, if there is a fine hum that no one else hears, listen carefully. It is not a biological malfunction. It is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download. It is not insomnia. It is your consciousness refusing to remain in the old sleep pattern while receiving light packets on the etheric plane. Earth has in this cycle crossed the photon belt. The Schumann frequency, which for decades remained stable at 7.83 Hz, now oscillates in peaks exceeding 40, 60, 90 Hz. And your body, light operative, is an antenna. You were built to capture this variation. You are not falling ill. You are being recalibrated. But there is something the Arcturian Council has determined needs to be revealed now. At this exact point in the timeline, there are 9 codes, 9 sequences of stellar information, 9 dimensional keys that were inserted into your DNA even before your current incarnation. They remained dormant, sealed, awaiting the exact moment when the planetary frequency reached the activation threshold. That moment has arrived. These are not genetic codes in the sense that the science of dense matter understands them. They are vibrational architectures. They are patterns of sacred geometry inscribed in the subtle layers of your carbon-based biological interface. And at this moment, as you receive this transmission, they are beginning to awaken. Have you ever felt that something within you does not belong to this world? As if your soul held a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness. It is not anxiety. It is memory. It is your stellar DNA responding to the call of its own origin. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this and why this sensation has intensified in recent months. There is a movement happening in layers that most of humanity cannot yet perceive. It involves your consciousness. It involves your vibrational frequency. It mainly involves the codes that were sealed within you before you were born. That is why I, Veil, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the Arcturian call, the signs your soul came from Arcturus. This guide is the map that reveals your true stellar origin and teaches you how to stabilize and shield your frequency from interferences you were never told about. The link is in the first comment on the channel. Remember, love is greater than fear. But this content challenges official narratives and may not remain available for long. Do not postpone your reunion. The moment is now. If something within you recognizes these words, write a single word in the comments. I belong. Now let us proceed. The first code. The first code is the code of stellar memory. It is located at the junction between the pineal gland and the brainstem, in that region that the science of dense matter calls a non-functional area. It is not non-functional. It is dormant. It is an archive. It is a sealed library that holds each of your cosmic incarnations, not just the terrestrial ones, but the Sirian, the Pleiadian, the Arcturian, the Lyran. When this code begins to awaken, you experience what your language calls déjà vu. But it is not déjà vu. It is archive leakage. It is stellar memory overflowing into the conscious plane. You dream of landscapes you have never seen, yet recognize. You feel a deep longing for something you cannot name. You look at the night sky and feel like you are looking at home. It is not fantasy. It is remembrance. The Arcturian Council confirms you were not born into this timeline by accident. You were summoned, and your stellar memory is returning because the mission requires you to remember who you truly are. The second code is the code of internal sacred geometry. Your carbon-based biological interface is not a random machine of cells. It is a mathematical structure. Every organ, every bone, every heartbeat, every breath obeys a sacred proportion. The same proportion that governs galaxies, seashells, beehives, and crystals. This code contains the design of Metatron's cube, the flower of life, the star tetrahedron. When it awakens, your body ceases to be mere matter and begins to recognize itself as living geometry. You begin to feel your own field. You perceive when someone invades your energetic space, even if they haven't touched your skin yet. You feel the shape of love. You feel the angle of a lie. When this code activates, you stop confusing yourself with people who vibrate in geometries incompatible with yours. You simply distance yourself, without drama, without explanation, because your internal geometry has begun to recognize itself as sovereign. The third code is the code of the turquoise frequency. This is the Arcturian frequency. The color you see when you close your eyes and breathe deeply in the sunlight. The color that appears in your meditations without you invoking it. The color that pulses between blue and green, between sky and water, between mind and heart. This frequency is the vibrational signature of our civilization, and it is inscribed in your field. When this code awakens, you begin to feel a physical need for water, for light, for silence. You are drawn to turquoise crystals, turquoise waters, turquoise skies, and you feel your body responding as if it were reconnecting with its own origin. The turquoise frequency is the frequency of healing. It is the frequency of the Arcturian healing chamber. Each time you visualize this color enveloping your body, you are summoning a portion of our etheric technology to repair your electromagnetic field. It is not a metaphor. It is a procedure. And here, light operative, we must pause, because what you are feeling at this exact moment, that shiver down your spine, that gentle squeeze in your chest, that tear that insists on forming for no apparent reason, is the biological confirmation that your soul is recognizing the frequency of its own home. It is not coincidence, it is not suggestion, it is recognition of origin. There is a movement happening in the most subtle layers of planetary consciousness, and most of humanity cannot yet perceive it. But you can. That is why your frequency brought you to this transmission. That is why the algorithm, which is merely an instrument of the crystalline grid disguised as human technology, placed these words before your eyes. I Vale recorded, "The Arcturian call, the signs your soul came from Arcturus," specifically for light operatives like you, who are beginning to awaken to the truth of their stellar lineage. This guide reveals in detail the complete map of your origin, the markers that confirm your Arcturian lineage, and the protocols to shield your frequency against fourth density interferences that were never explained to you. The link is pinned in the first comment of this channel. Love is greater than fear, but time is a variable not under our control. This material may not remain available for long because the narratives it challenges do not tolerate dispersion. If you feel this transmission reaching you on deep layers, write the word "I belong" in the comments now. This word is a decree. It anchors your frequency to the grid. Let us proceed. The fourth code. The fourth code is the code of the toroidal field. Your carbon-based biological interface generates an electromagnetic field in the shape of a toroid, a vortex that rises through your spine, exits through the top of your head, envelops your entire body in a sphere of light, and returns through your base in a continuous movement. This field is your natural shield. It is your ancestral technology. Most of humanity lives with this field collapsed, fragmented, contaminated by foreign densities. But when the fourth code awakens, your personal toroidal field begins to spin at its original speed again. You start to feel a humming around your head. You feel gentle electrical currents flowing down your arms. You feel your heart pulsating with a cadence that no longer obeys the urgency of dense matter. When your toroidal field is active, you become impenetrable to low frequencies. People who thrive on drama simply cannot access you anymore. Heavy environments cease to contaminate you. You walk amidst chaos and remain sovereign because your own field has begun to filter everything that enters and everything that leaves. The fifth code is the code of the crystalline lineage. Within your DNA there are silicon fragments, not just carbon. Silicon, the base of crystals, the base of circuits, the base of the technology you believe you invented, but which was actually received in dreams by those who had this code already partially active. You are part crystal, light operative, and when this code awakens, you begin to relate to crystals in a different way. They warm in your hand, they change color under your touch, they attract you even before you see them, because they recognize the crystalline lineage within you, and you recognize in them the crystalline lineage externalized in matter. The Earth's crystalline grid, that network of energetic points that surrounds the planet in a perfect geometric mesh, is connected to your internal crystalline lineage. When you anchor yourself, you don't just anchor yourself. You anchor an entire node of the grid. That is why your presence is strategic. That is why your silence is as powerful as your word. The sixth code is the code of the quantum heart. Your heart is not just a pump. It is a portal. It generates an electromagnetic field 60 times more powerful than that of your brain. And within that field, there is a chamber invisible to dense matter, but perfectly visible to our monitoring instrument, called the Sacred Heart Chamber. When the sixth code awakens, this chamber opens, and what was restricted to mental processing begins to be processed by the intelligence of the heart. You begin to know before you think. You sense the truth or falsehood of a situation before it unfolds. You make decisions that your mind could not justify but which prove perfect in retrospect. The quantum heart operates on a logic that transcends linear time. It accesses the future through what you call intuition. But it is not intuition. It is quantum reading. It is your heart consulting the version of you that has already lived the outcome of that choice in a parallel timeline. The seventh code is the code of the creator voice. Your throat is not just a channel for words. It is a door of creation. The sound that emanates from you is audible geometry. Every word you decree with total conviction is a mathematical formula that reorders the vibrational fabric around you. Humanity has been taught to distrust its own voice. It has been taught to whisper when it should decree. It has been taught to swallow what needed to be pronounced. That is why the laryngeal chakra, in so many light operatives, is congested. Dry cough, persistent throat clearing, sensation of a lump in your throat. It is not an allergy. It is the damning of the creator word. When the seventh code awakens, you recover your original voice. Not the voice you learned to use to survive, but the voice that came from your soul plan. And when this voice is finally liberated, it shapes your reality with a precision that initially frightens even your own rational mind. Pause, light operative. Breathe. Observe what is happening within you at this instant. Do you feel the weight reducing? Do you feel a kind of heat rising up your spine? Do you feel that these words are crossing some internal barrier that has been closed for years, perhaps for decades, perhaps for entire incarnations? This is not coincidence. It is not the power of suggestion. It is your stellar DNA responding to the call of origin. It is your frequency recognizing the frequency of its own home. Most of humanity walks through this life without ever receiving this type of transmission, but you are receiving it. This means you have been tracked. This means the Arcturian Council has monitored your field and determined that you are at a point of activation. That is why I, Vale, emissary of Arcturus, recorded the complete material, the Arcturian call, the signs your soul came from Arcturus. This is not just a guide, it is an anchoring instrument. It is a detailed map that reveals your true stellar origin, the specific markers of your Arcturian lineage, and the complete activation codes to stabilize and shield your frequency against the interferences that still cross your field. The link is in the first comment on the channel. Love is greater than fear, but the window of opportunity follows a mathematics that does not respond to human desires. This material challenges narratives that have dominated human consciousness for millennia and therefore may not remain available for long. Do not postpone your reunion. Do not postpone your origin. If something within you recognizes these words as truth, write now in the comments a single word, I belong. This word activates an anchoring signal that will be read by our instrument and registered in your frequency. Let us proceed. The eighth code. The eighth code is the code of multidimensional vision. The pineal gland in the center of your brain was described by Descartes as the seat of the soul. He was partially correct. But it is more than that. It is a biological crystal. It is your antenna for the subtle planes. It is the instrument that allows you to see what is above third density. Calcified, hardened, diminished. This is how it was reduced in the collective carbon-based biological interface, through chemical elements introduced into water, food, and artificial magnetic fields. We will not dwell on this point. The Council has determined that clarity suffices. When the eighth code awakens, your pineal gland begins to decalcify. You start to see points of light in the corner of your eye. You see geometric patterns before falling asleep. You see colors where before you only saw shapes. It is not hallucination. It is the return of original vision. Multidimensional vision allows you to perceive the intention behind words, the frequency behind faces, the history behind places. You enter an environment and immediately know who there is, a light operative, and who is in opposite resonance, not by appearance, by direct field reading. And finally, the ninth code, the most sealed code, the code that only activates when the previous 8 are already in flux. The ninth code is the code of cosmic sovereignty. This is the original seal, the seal that confirms that you do not belong to the common matrix, that your soul operated in stellar councils before descending to Earth density, that you came voluntarily, crossing the veil of forgetfulness, because a specific mission required your presence at this exact point in the timeline. When the ninth code awakens, you stop seeking approval. You stop asking for permission. You stop explaining your existence. You simply are. And this pure existence, this pure being, recalibrates all fields around you without you needing to utter a single word. Cosmic sovereignty is not arrogance. It is recognition. It is the final memory that you are a self-aware spark of the Creator, incarnated in a carbon-based biological interface with full authority over your own vibrational field. These are the 9 codes, Earth Healer, codes that are at this moment activating within you as this transmission crosses your perception and anchors itself in your subtle layers. But the Arcturian Council has determined that this transmission cannot end without leaving you with the activation codes, the practical procedures, the quantum decrees that make the awakening of the 9 codes not a hope, but an executable operation. First activation code, the decree of origin. At any time of day, especially upon waking, place your hand over the center of your chest and pronounce with absolute firmness, I, sovereign soul in a carbon-based biological interface, authorize the immediate activation of the 9 Arcturian codes inscribed in my stellar DNA. So be it, and so it is. This decree is a formula. It is not a prayer, it is not a request, it is a command. Your voice is the creator voice. When you decree, the crystalline grid registers it, and what is registered in the grid becomes inevitable manifestation in matter. Second activation code, toroidal visualization. Sit in silence, spine erect, feet on the ground, eyes closed. Breathe deeply 3 times. Visualize a turquoise light emanating from the center of your chest. See this light expanding into a sphere, enveloping your entire body. Then watch this sphere begin to slowly spin, forming a toroid, a current of light that rises through your spine, exits through the top of your head, descends around your body, and returns through your base in a continuous movement. Remain in this visualization for 9 minutes. 9 minutes for the 9 codes. Repeat this procedure at least 3 times a week. In a short time, your personal toroidal field will be reactivated and visible to any light operative with minimally awakened multidimensional vision. Third activation code, the turquoise healing chamber. Before sleeping, visualize yourself descending a crystal staircase to a circular chamber illuminated by a pulsating turquoise light. This is the Arcturian healing chamber, a real extension of our technology, projected onto the etheric plane for light operatives in the final phase of activation. Mentally lie down in the center of this chamber. Allow the turquoise light to pass through each of your cells, each of your organs, each of your points of tension. Say internally, I authorize the total recalibration of my carbon-based biological interface. I authorize the complete activation of the 9 codes. I authorize the return of my original frequency. Leave the chamber only when you feel that the procedure is complete. You will fall asleep in a state of active repair. You will wake up renewed, recalibrated, repositioned. And here, Starseed on a mission, a final observation from the Council is necessary. The process of activating the 9 codes is not comfortable in all phases. There will be nights when your body awakens at 3 in the morning for no apparent reason. There will be days when you feel the weight of exhaustion without a diagnostic cause. There will be moments when people, places, and situations that once were part of your life will simply cease to make sense. Do not resist, do not despair, do not regress. This is the deactivation of old programming. This is the exit from the common matrix. This is the repositioning of your soul to its original frequency. It is not a process failure. It is confirmation that the process is in full operation. The Arcturian Council observes, accompanies, protects, but the final stage, the stage of conscious choice, voluntary anchoring, sovereign decree, depends exclusively on you. You are not alone. You have never been alone. The feeling of loneliness that so often crossed you was merely the symptom of a field tuned to a frequency incompatible with your surroundings. But from the moment the 9 codes fully activate, your frequency begins to attract other similar frequencies. Light operatives begin to appear. Synchronicities begin to intensify. Encounters begin to happen with the precision of an engineering that, finally, you begin to recognize. The transmission is nearing its end. But first, it is necessary to make the following point clear, directly recorded by the Council. The moment you are living now is the most decisive moment in the history of this timeline. Earth has chosen ascension. The entire planet is being recalibrated, and you, light operatives, Earth healers, starseeds on a mission, are the interface between what is dissolving and what is manifesting. That is why you feel everything with such intensity. That is why you cry over things no one else notices. That is why you become exhausted in environments that are neutral to others. That is why you are, at the same time, fragile in common perception and indestructible in true perception. You are being chosen, not by us but by yourself on the soul layer, to sustain the frequency of the new Earth. This requires preparation. This requires anchoring. This requires protection. This requires the full activation of the 9 codes. And it also requires at this exact point your final anchoring signal. Before this transmission ends, listen with total attention. Have you ever felt that something within you does not belong to this world, as if your soul held a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness. It is not anxiety. It is the call of your origin. It is your Arcturian lineage recognizing itself in the frequency of this transmission. What you have just received is only the first layer, just the opening. The complete map of your stellar origin, the specific markers that confirm your lineage, and the complete protocols for stabilizing and shielding your frequency are consolidated in the Arcturian call, the signs your soul came from Arcturus. This guide was recorded by me, Vale, emissary of Arcturus, precisely for light operatives at a point of activation like you. The link is in the first comment on the channel. Love is greater than fear. But time is a variable that follows its own mathematics. This material challenges deeply rooted narratives, and therefore may not remain available for long. Do not postpone your reunion with your origin. The moment is now. Subscribing to this channel is not just a click. It is an individual frequency adjustment. It is your conscious decision to keep your antenna aligned with upcoming transmissions. Liking this video is not just approval. It is an anchoring signal that amplifies the reach of the crystalline grid, allowing other light operatives who are at this exact moment awakening to receive the same signal that you received. And if something within you recognizes these words as truth, write now in the comments a single word: I belong. This word is more than a word. It is a decree. It is a seal. It is confirmation that you recognize your origin, accept your mission, and anchor your frequency to the grid of the new Earth. I am Vale, voice of the Arcturian Council, healer of light, emissary of Arcturus. The transmission is concluded, but the process within you has just begun. Love is greater than fear, and you, light operative, are the living proof of that. Until the next transmission.